Well, welcome, fellow keeper. Not long ago, this little archive existed only in scattered drawers, crowded shelves, forgotten boxes, half-finished ideas scattered around my studio. But now its proverbial doors are standing open. My hope is that visitors don't feel like they have entered a store or a website, but that they have entered a forgotten archive that's been rediscovered by fellow keepers. In fact, I probably won't refer to you as a visitor anymore after this. You are a fellow keeper. I have designed my website, my shop, to feel like I want it to feel like an archaeological discovery, like you've stumbled upon this very quiet, undiscovered, hidden archive. And within its rooms, you find journals bound by hand, relics that have been rescued from old books and basements, supplies that have been gathered for your future creations, and curiosities that I've just collected along the way. You'll find that some things are useful, some things are beautiful, and some things don't do much other than just deserve to be remembered. So when you visit my website, take your time, follow your curiosity, but for now, let's begin our little tour. This is what lives in my head. This is the blueprint of the shop that I envision in my mind, or I guess not the shop, but the archive that we've stumbled upon. So every time I make a journal, or I put together a video, or figure out how I'm going to list a particular item in my shop, this map is what I refer to. This is how I picture this imaginary place that we're in right now. I guess, like any old archive, this place is divided into rooms, and each one is devoted to a different kind of discovery. Some are there to preserve stories. Some are there to provide tools for future creations. Others just hold little curiosities that are just waiting to be discovered. There is a suggested path, as always, when you have a map or you enter a museum, I guess, there's a little follow this way. But you don't need to follow the suggested path. You can bounce, of course, back and forth between different rooms in the shop, however you'd like. The best discoveries really don't happen when you're following a roadmap anyway. All right, so enough of my little imagination sharing with you. Let's just get into how the website is designed and what you can find in each section. So first off is the bindery, the heart of the archive, the reason for the site to begin with. This is where you'll find my handmade journals. Each one obviously created very slowly using collected materials, vintage elements, plenty of attention to detail, and as always, as many authentic, vintage, or antique pieces of paper as I can find. Plus, of course, the tea-dyed paper that we all know and love. As far as what types of journals you'll find, some are inspired by forests. That's my favorite type of journal to make. Others are inspired by libraries, old gardens, forgotten stories. Sometimes a journal will start with a single piece of ephemera that sparks an idea, and I create an entire journal around that one piece. Every journal that I make is made to be used, explored, filled, and eventually become a story of its own. So in my mind, beyond the bindery would be a smaller room that is reserved for very special editions. The journals that you find here are going to be more unusual or more time intensive. They will include more rare materials, quantity-wise, and sometimes quality-wise, but mostly quantity than I would put in my typical journals. They might have some embellishments that are very unique, maybe some details that are not repeated as much as I may in other journals. These journals that live here are the types of journals that start with an idea, and then that idea sits in a box in my studio, and over many months, in some cases over a couple years, as I find pieces that will go with that journal, it gets tucked away in that box. So there is definitely a lot of time and intentional creation to these journals. They're just journals that I feel are very special. And speaking of journals that are very special, this is also where you will go if you want to commission a custom-made journal. If you are looking for something that is created specifically for you, with you in mind, this is where those projects begin. You may have a favorite theme, a treasured collection, a beloved story, or a vision that you just need help bringing to life in journal form. Here's where you will go to access that, and you can find out exactly what the requirements and process is for custom-made journals. And this is where I get to create something that's deeply personal, that is an heirloom for you, designed around your own interests and imagination. The next room is one of the more playful rooms, the paper relics room, and this room is dedicated to the pieces themselves. It might be a curated selection of vintage book pages or antique ephemera or old documents, illustrations, advertisements, little fragments of history that are just waiting for some kind of second life. Many of the pieces here have been rescued from old books or forgotten boxes that I find here and there. They're just fun little collections. And whether you're a journal maker, a collage artist, a collector, or a fellow keeper yourself, this is a room that I hope will be full of discoveries. One of the great discoveries that I like to stumble upon when I'm going to estate sales or antique shops are old cabinets of curiosities that people have collected over time. So I've devoted a room specifically to that, to the Cabinet of Curiosities type collection. This will be where I will put kind of not always unpredictable, but sometimes unpredictable finds, just, things that are unusual, little oddities, collections, sometimes beautiful collections. But, I guess this would be more like a place to find those things that, sometimes they don't have a practical purpose. Not everything needs a practical purpose to deserve preservation. And this room was created for the fellow keepers out there who enjoy finding the little unexpected bits of history that have been collected through time. The next section of the room is simply the archives supply room. Here you'll find materials for your own creative adventures, papers, embellishments, collage elements, little useful treasures that I've collected along the way, or things that I think might be helpful to somebody building their journal stash, or maybe they just don't like putting together this particular thing themselves and they'd rather just have someone do it for them. That's where this stuff will go. These are the sorts of supplies that I often use in my own work. They will be gathered over time. It's a room that's designed for makers, curious creators, collage artists. It's just a place where you might be able to find a little bit of supplies that you can add to your supply collection. And the final little bit in the shop is called the last drawer. And this is to kind of pay homage to that little random drawer that we all have out there that holds those interesting or random objects that we've collected over time that just don't really have a place. But so that's the metaphorical idea behind that, but realistically this is the clearance section. This is the sale part of the website. So when I put an item on sale, I will put it in this section of the shop, the last drawer. And here you can find various odds and ends. It might be one-off journals. Maybe it's a journal that I have made that I'm just not feeling it, and so it'll go here. Or could be something that might not be up to the standards that I would like to have when I make my journals, but it's still something that's perfectly usable, and if somebody can just make it their own, it will be just fine. It might be an item that maybe I think is wonderful, but nobody else seems to, and it has been for sale forever, and it's just not selling, so I'll put it over there. Or it could just be things that just don't quite belong anywhere else in the shop, so I will put them on sale and throw them in here. And that's that. That is how the room or the shop goes together. I do hope that you will stop by and check out the shop. Please remember, I am a very, very small business, so I don't have a lot of inventory and I don't have a lot of turnover, but I am, as far as speed, but I will try to keep my amount of items at a minimum. My goal is to always keep I'm somewhere around 40 or 50, hopefully never more than that in the shop. I hope to always keep maybe 4 or 5 journals at any given time there. Sometimes it will be more, sometimes it will be less. But do check back every now and then and see if things have changed. If you would like to know when I put new things in the shop, you can go ahead and send me a message on my Instagram, CVP Journals, and I will add you to a tag list for when I post new items. Other than that, that's it. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoy your journal making and find your special collections.